Hi guys, I'm Liam from Ginger and Gold Ltd, and we are recording this presentation for you today, which is from a talk that we done a couple of weeks ago for Norwich Property Meet, and we're going to show you how you can profit from short-term rental with Ginger and Gold. So the presentation is going to cover a lot of information. It's going to cover who we are as a company. It's going to cover the best places to invest in Norfolk if you're looking to buy or purchase property for short-term rental purposes. And also it's going to cover the type of avatar and the type of person we tend to see use our properties here locally. First time I've tried to record one of these, so some of the images, like our image up in the corner, may not load, but we'll see how far we can get and how well it works. So hopefully that will stick with me. So let's get started, and thanks for watching this. Should last, to give you an idea, it's about 40 minutes overall. Feel forward to fast forward, skip bits. I'll try and put a reference to what is included and when as a guide to this. So let's get started, shall we? So fancy sum of the 1.4 billion. Are you looking forward to a holiday this year? Because I'm sure I certainly am. After a long time in lockdown, many other Brits feel exactly the same. So actually, we've found that so many people since lockdown, since COVID, there's been a big shift in how people are taking their vacations and their holidays. Instead of going abroad, they may not be able to, or they may be worried about going abroad. And certainly this year, unlike any other, we're seeing a major boom in the short-term rental industry. Some of that boom is thanks to the 73% of Brits who are holidaying at home, and that's actually adding 1.4 billion to the UK economy. Some of that 1.4 billion is going to be yours. If you've got short-term rental holiday lets, then that could be yours. So certainly a really good time to be getting into this area, not least to mention some of the tax advantages for it as well, but we'll cover that later on. So hopefully my slides are going to work. Okay, so we were thinking Norwich Property Meet. Right, who am I? So I am Liam Carolan. My partner there, she is Charlie Gold. And in early 2019, we created Ginger and Gold Ltd because we wanted to get out of retail. We were both retail managers. I was a retail manager of a local department store, Roy's of Wroxham, quite famous around these parts. But Charlie was a manager of Zara, and we decided that we didn't want to carry on doing that all our lives. So we got our first short-term let property on a rent-to-rent basis in 2019. We've grown to 10 properties over the last couple of years, and now we're about to add to that as well. A mix of rent-to-rent and management. So we manage for people who want to, make more of a return, but are happy to have invested in the strategy itself. If not, rent-to-rent, which is where landlords just want a fixed income, and we then make a margin, obviously, on top of that. We've served over 1,000 guests now, and we're proud to be super hosts on Airbnb and score above 9 out of 10 on Booking.com. I've been lucky enough in the short period of time I've been involved in the industry to be considered one of the sort of leading experts on it, and been involved with several podcasts like Get Paid for Your Pad, the Boostly podcasts, and talk panels with other leading experts. So I feel very lucky for that. Here's some of the stuff I've been involved in. People like Julie Georges. She's a $1 million host who sold her business a couple of years ago after building it to 9 units. She's very famous in America and Australia. This is Sean Radovich, who is known as the Airbnb guy in America, 167,000 followers. And of course, I've done some live talks at Norwich Property Meet, which is where we were presenting this. So anyway, enough about me. My aim for you by the end of this presentation is to have a better understanding of what makes a good short-term rental investment opportunity in Norfolk, have a broader understanding of short-term rental compliance, have a broader understanding of UK tax advantages relating to furnished holiday lets, and know how you can profit from short-term rental in your portfolio, and know who you can talk to for more information. I wonder who that's going to be. Overall, to see all the opportunities around us in Norfolk. So Who should listen? This is for you if you've got investment properties and you're looking to grow that. It's for you if you're interested in increasing cash flow and reducing tax from existing portfolio in the area. It's not for you if you're not willing to take some action. It's always going to involve some effort, certainly more than the average buy-to-let, but the rewards are so much more worth it. And it's for you if you do want hassle-free, hands-off investments, because we cover all of the day-to-day running. The key thing is having a broad understanding of what short-term rental can do for you. And it's for you if you're just curious about short-term rental in general. So what do we mean by short-term rental? We mean Airbnb and Booking.com. We're not talking about by the room. We're talking about entire properties. So when I say short-term rental, some people say serviced accommodation. Is it the same thing? Well, here's a couple of definitions, which feel free to look them up. But basically, all serviced accommodation, self-catering accommodation, and furnished holiday lets, they are all short-term rental. And short-term rental in general is just, as a general rule of thumb, a short-term tenancy is usually a rental property that's been offered on the market for 6 months or less. So yes, when I'm saying short-term rental, I might mean SA. The reason we've moved away from SA as a terminology is because when it is in a holiday type of place, or say Norfolk coast, it's really more of a holiday let, a furnished holiday let. So we wanted a term that covers that, which is short-term rental. So this is what people tend to think most of these short-term rental places look like. I certainly still think of these type of places when I'm thinking of places to go on holiday. I don't know why that's coming up. But when it comes down to it, they don't have to look this wow. I mean, these are spectacular properties. I'm sure they make very good lets. But these are what our ones in Norwich actually look like at the moment from the outside. So you can see that they are straightforward, average properties. We've got a few apartments as well, but we want to dispel the theory that you need a magnificent property to have a good short-term rental investment. Pretty much any house can be a good short-term rental investment. It all depends on who you're aiming at and the quality of the interior. So why should you care about short-term rental? The big one's cash flow. It massively cash flows more than a standard buy-to-let. This is an example for you. So this standard buy-to-let makes £950. We let it for an average nightly rate of £152, and the occupancy is 80%. So you're looking at £3,648 per month. And after the running costs, it's still net over £2,000 in profit. So that's more than double the buy-to-let income. So one of the questions we often get is, what if you're an HMO investor? Is it still worth doing? We'll answer that later on, basically. Why is short-term rental important? Well, for me personally, this is me about 4 years ago, maybe a little bit over that. I was in a situation where, I wasn't very happy, basically. I was working 65 hours a week. I was working Roy's retail management. I was probably drinking a bit too much, because that was what you've done in retail. You finish up, you take the guys for a drink, or you go and have a drink yourself. Certainly the bottles of wine included in the Marks and Spencer's meal deals for a tenner didn't help me, because I'll drink them all by myself. I was stressed out. I was £20,000 in debt, and I felt trapped despite having a decent job. And I was depressed. I actually suffered from depression, which I didn't know at the time. But it all came to a head at that stage when my other half turned to me and said that we had a bun in the oven. And at that stage, everything came to a head, and I suffered with Bell's palsy, which brought on by stress. It's where half your face drops. And it was an indication that my health was going to go if I carried on living that lifestyle. So I decided that it was time to kick my own butt and do something different. Instead of being in retail management all my life, I looked around at cash flow strategies, got involved with property. And because somebody said that you need property to be able to make money, and listening to the grapevine, I basically listened to a lot of different podcasts, different influencers, and eventually started to improve myself, looking at cash flow mechanisms, and eventually discovered through self-improvement that Airbnb and other people's properties could be the answer, and that I could use other people's properties to cash flow on Airbnb, which is how I discovered rent-to-rent serviced accommodation. Big thank you to my mentor, which is Camilla, who started me off down this path. She is a key influence, and she's now known as one of the best short-term rental operators in the UK, and moved on to bigger and better things, I must say. So the reason why I care about short-term rental is because it's changed my life. We're now in a position where we're out of debt. We've got, I work just for the business. I don't work for anyone else. And ultimately, it's a case of there's two reasons why I decided to do short-term rental. This is one of them, which is Harry on the right. He's my son, and there he is when he was about 3, maybe 2.5. I can't remember then. But he's certainly one of the reasons. The move from retail into short-term rental was generated because my other half and me were going to have a son, and definitely I wanted to spend more time with him than just being in retail. And the other reason in the background here is Cromer. I absolutely love living where I do. I love living in Norfolk. I like Cromer in particular, and I think more people should come and see our local area. So you can cash flow while sharing experiences locally, like people visiting the cathedral, walks by the river, the castle, the Broads, the coast. There's so many reasons why people come and stay in Norfolk. So it's a great place to get involved in short-term rental. And as I say, since for short-term rental in general has meant I could leave my job, spend time growing the business, positively impact clients, guests, creating memories. I've employed others now, and we're developing our team through training and mentorship, which we're continually growing. Anybody who knows me knows that I have always got some sort of mentor, or we're always looking how we can better ourselves. We've formed a business partnership now. I've taken on a business partner who does all our 3D tours, all our marketing, and we've created more freedom in life in general. Sorry, I'm looking behind my mic. And let's talk about how I can help you now. So enough about me anyway. I can help you in the same way as I've helped Phil. So this is Phil's flat. He was already on Airbnb. Beforehand, he tried his hand at renting this property at £650 a month in the area. And instead he put it on Airbnb and got £65 a night. So we managed to get £975 on average a month with lots of extra work. He was getting his parents to clean it. You can see the state of the place isn't that attractive, if I'm honest. Damage happened because he wasn't vetting guests. And then he switched to our company. We have given it a £400. So I was quite proud of that. 400 quid. We managed to get it looking like this with some professional photos as well. It's now averaging a little bit more a night. Doesn't break the bank, but the occupancy is massively up compared to what he was getting. He was about 50%. He's now getting over £1,500 gross revenue, and his income, even now he's not doing any work, he's still earning more with us looking after it than he was when he was doing all the work and he was doing it himself. So it goes to show, sort of some of the improvements, the difference it's made to the gross income. No hassle. His parents have been able to retire now, and he lives in France, and the property's being kept in better condition. So let's show you another example. This is Stafford Street in Norwich. Again, just your everyday average house. This property was bought purposely for serviced accommodation. So it was a 2-bed property. It would rent, it never was rented for this, but it would rent for £750 to £800, and it's let to a company at the moment paying £60 a night with 100% occupancy, grossing £1,800. And the owner's now getting, over £1,100 compared to her initial, what she would have got if it was a buy-to-let. And one more. So this is a rent-to-rent. We lease this property for $695. It's a rent-to-rent deal. We've had 91% occupancy since last year. We actually would have included the figures before that as well, but we changed channel manager. But still, 91% during COVID has been really good. It's been a low average rate, if I'm honest, £73, but it's still grossing £2,500 per month on average. And average running cost £1,700, and that means that's that includes the rent, by the way, and that's £800 profit So if you owned this property and managed it yourself, you'd easily be grossing almost £2,000 profit each month. So how to check if a property is suitable? We do the lap check. So you're looking at location, the guest avatar who stays in it, and the property itself. Now, a lot of people ask me, is this location better than this? Is this property better than this? Is it better to serve workers instead of leisure guests? Well, it's got to be the lap check. It's got to be all three things have got a tick, and it's all got to be pointing in the right direction. So what I mean by that is you can't have the location being next to the beach, but you're serving business workers in a very average property, because it's not going to work. And at the same time, you can't have a really lush property in the middle of an industrial estate. It'll work to a degree, but certainly not how it should do. So you do the lap check. So let's look at location. Feel free to take a screenshot of this. This is a map which we devised almost 2 years ago now. We looked at the reasons people come and visit Norfolk. And those reasons are leisure mainly. So what we looked at is we've done a 20-minute territory from where their main reason to stay. So if they're staying for the coast, they'll likely be staying somewhere in this orange box. If they're staying here because they want to visit the Broads, they'll likely be staying in the green box. And we'll zoom in a second, if they're staying in Norwich, there's a lot of different reasons they stay in Norwich, and we'll zoom into that shortly. All of the green dots that you can see are leisure reasons for people to visit. So whether it not is, Wroxham, there's a lot in Norwich. So we've got the castle. I'd need my list just to say what they are, but the green dots are reasons for people to visit for leisure. You got the UEA, I think that one is there, the green dot, which is people visiting for what are they called, gigs and stuff like that. All of the yellow dots are the biggest 50 employers in Norfolk. So whether that is Bernard Matthews, Kettles Farm Chips, some of the big farming, employers. There's a lot in Norwich, as you can imagine. But all of these reasons are the people that people come and stay in Norwich in general. And we really wanted to get a good feel of that. So we started mapping out. Most people will stay 20 minutes from the reason they've come to visit. And where you get the best occupancy is where some of these areas overlap. So, for instance, you've got the hospital and you've got the university in the dark blue. You can see that they overlap, along with people visiting for friends and family tend to stay in this pink box here. And people staying for leisure will tend to be in this inner, darker, sort of shaded area. As you can see, a lot of the green is people's visiting for leisure. So whether it's cathedral, theatre, castle, things like that in there. So the highest demand tends to be in these, sort of central areas, although there is great demand in the leisure areas like the Broads and, the coast as well. The key thing is that there's certain areas, like if we go up to the top left here, this will naturally have lesser occupancy than somewhere the other side of the city. So just knowing this, you can start to, the cost of a property won't be that much from Cossey than it will be in Thorpe St Andrew, but instantly there's going to be greater occupancy in these areas. And as I say, feel free to take a screenshot of that. If anyone wants more information on the employers, the list of employers, all that sort of stuff, feel free to message me. I've not included it on the slide, but we've got that on our own Google My Maps this is made with. So the avatar types, holiday makers make up about 50 to 55%. Visiting friends and family is approximately 20%. Workers and business in the area about 20%. And the other, which is people maybe in between homes, we host a lot of those, or these services like child services, protection services, people having a divorce, stuff like that. It tends to be the other within there. So as you can see, we are majorly aimed towards leisure. However, there is a good 40% of our business is repeat business. And think about who would stay in the property and the needs, because they're all slightly different. So let's just explore that a little bit closer. We made this to show what people would tend to expect depending on the type of people you're aiming at. So if you're aiming at holiday makers, they would be looking for these things, maybe something Instagrammable, more of an experience, likely to be their first visit, tend to be shorter stays. If you're serving families, they'll likely be more price motivated, usually after larger places as people are traveling in groups. We're finding after COVID, we're bringing granny along with them and things like that. Again, shorter stays because they're just visiting family. Business workers tend to need, they're very price motivated, 25 to £50 per person per night. Parking is an absolute must, and that's usually for a van, and they'll stay longer. So actually to get them, you need big gaps in your calendar a lot of the time. And the other 10%, which can just be a mix, really, feel free to read through that. Looking at this, the one thing that everybody is after is they want to be close to the reason for visiting. They want the property to be safe and in good condition. Everybody, especially after COVID, wants it to be clean and comfortable, and to have the right number of bedrooms for their reason for staying. Everybody these days wants a kitchen and a living area. You know, it really makes a big difference. I've seen places like HMOs without living areas. They just don't do as well. And everybody, the world and their wife, wants fast Wi-Fi. It's the most important thing. So my top tip, if you do nothing else, is if you're looking to invest, is to check out the Wi-Fi speeds of the areas you're looking to invest in. You can do so online beforehand, or even as you look and knock on the neighbour's door and ask what their Wi-Fi speeds are, because it's so important now. And just giving you an idea of the type of people, I mean, this is obviously leisure, visiting families, business. We've got a bigger place for that. And that's the sort of place that would be for other. So these tend to be longer stays, divorced or services, child services, stuff like that we're serving. Okay, so the property is the last part of the lap check. If you remember, we've done location, we've done avatar, this is property. So it's got to be hotel standard as a minimum. It cannot be downtrodden. It cannot look rubbish. It's got to have the right number of bedrooms for the target avatar. So depending on who's staying, business workers will tend to want a bedroom each, whereas families are more happy to share twin rooms, stuff like that. Right beds and bed layouts. I've seen the best properties for workers have too many double beds instead of twin beds, and therefore they don't get the occupancy they could do. So if you want advice with that, just give us a shout. We're happy to advise what would be best for that layout of a particular property. The right number of bathrooms for the target avatar as well. Again, more the merrier usually, but a family's happy to share one bathroom. Business workers will tend to want more bathrooms, basically. The decor, so you can see this is hotel designer has designed. This is her place that we manage. It makes a big difference. We get a lot of leisure guests because they want the experience of the decor. This is much more masculine and aimed towards business workers, if we're honest, maybe builders and people like that. And this is more of a family-based kitchen, reasonably stylish, but without a huge investment. The furniture has got to be right for the desired avatar. If you're doing a high-end holiday let, the property, the furniture, it's got to be high-end. There'll be more investment in it. I suggest that every single property you go for has some form of parking to get good occupancy. Doesn't have to be, but certainly something that we look for. Transport routes and the neighbours, and the neighbourhood. You don't want somewhere where if somebody puts their clothes out on the line, the clothes are going to get nicked, or that they're going to have the police raids on the same street or anything like that. And at the same time, you don't want places where there's an elderly community where if you're going to have a holiday let right in the middle, you're going to get complaints from the neighbours. So it's, again, we check all these things before we take on a place. You certainly don't want HMOs looking like that, or a neighbourhood which looks like this. So how do you get an idea of the numbers? If you've found a property or you're thinking about a property, the best way to do it is to let us do the analysis for you. It's free of charge. It'll take us maybe an hour at most. We'll get back to you certainly within 2 or 3 business days. But when it comes down to it, if you go to bit.ly/property owner inquiry form, we will do the diligence for you and give you an idea of numbers. We do the lap check, and we assess the rates for local properties. and an email and analysis back to you with the numbers for you to make a decision. You don't then have to use our management service. We just do that because we can. It gives us more information, gives you more information. Obviously, we hope we'll manage the property for you, but if it's right for you and right for us. But it's one of those things that we offer as a free service. What about my mortgage? So yes, you do need to be on a furnished holiday let product. Interest rates are slightly higher, presently 2 to 4%, according to hoa.org.uk. You can offset your mortgage interest against the rental income. A good accountant, we can advise to do that. We have a recommended broker for that if you need. If you don't want to change your mortgage, or you can't, or you're getting it on a buy-to-let mortgage, it's risky, basically. But we do know landlords who have done it. Many times we've worked with landlords who are in between properties, or they're selling a property or got an HMO which is empty. So it's been done. It has been done. We, with our agreement to you, states that you're aware of the risks and you've checked with your mortgage provider. It's not our. We're not worried as long as. We want to make sure it's done the right way, but at the same time, you sign to say, you're happy to do it or not. Okay, so we are resumed. Sorry for the brief pause. My little boy came in. Can I do a short-term rental in a flat and apartment? You absolutely can, but additional due diligence is required. So you need to do the MLB check, which is your mortgage, your lease, and your block management company needs to allow it. You've got more neighbours, and it's harder to do the check-in process. Works better near a train station or near big transport routes. We don't personally like to deal as much with apartments. I think there's going to be some legislation changes around the way that short-term rentals may not be allowed in blocks of residential flats in the future. However, at the moment you can do. I would suggest, if you're doing that, to try and get an entire block, a small block of apartments yourself, instead of an individual apartment inside a large block. When it comes down to your lease and the block management company, both of those need to allow serviced accommodation or short-term rental for you to do that. And again, you can always send that to us. We'll have a look at it if you get hold of it. Do I need a change of use? No. An entire property let as a whole remains as a C3, which is a residential class. Even if it's a large property, it may become sui generis if it is a 7-bedroom, but very unlikely. It's definitely not an HMO, which we often get this objection from estate agents. Even with 4 workers in, they're classed as one entity, just like a single family. And it's only you'd need a change of use if you let by the room. So I've had people say, I want to do this as short-term rental and I want to let it by the room. Well, you do need a change of use in that case. We always advise you inform the council of the switch, and they will ask you to switch on to business rates. The business rates may or may not be more expensive. It doesn't matter if that is or not. You should be switching to business rates. Sometimes it's cheaper, sometimes it's not. You'll get 100% relief, so you won't be paying business rates or council tax on your first one if it is for a new limited company. But we certainly would recommend that you do that. So what insurance is required? Well, first of all, a step back. You should be a limited company or use a management agent, which is a limited company, because it gives a layer of protection. Liabilities insurance up to 5 million needs to be covering the property itself. Just means if they slip over in the shower that you're covered. Legal indemnity, again, so you're covered from a legal aspect. You're not going to have legal costs. If you're an owner of the property and not doing rent to rent, you need buildings as normal, and you need contents insurance covering the value of the contents. And I've got a fantastic broker, which many people use. He's probably one of the best in the country. If you need one, just drop me a message. One of the other objections we tend to get is short-term rental. Is it more hassle than it's worth? Well, it depends, because if you don't like dealing, we get people who don't like dealing with tenants, let alone guests, don't like dealing with cleaners. If you've got no time to do the maintenance, too much time to set up, too much time to learn how to do it best. The other objections we get is to, you have to sort a different mortgage product, or you don't want to learn something new. There's insurance arrangement. You're not 100% if it works in a certain location or where it works best. Nobody wants to annoy their neighbors, do they? Not sure of the number of beds. There's a lot of questions basically around it. Not sure how to manage the linen. Not sure what softwares to use. Not sure how to take payment, or not sure how to avoid party guests. Other objections we get is lots of costs to buy furniture, a big outlay without knowing the returns, although arguably not as much as some of the other strategies. There's extra mortgage costs, which is absolutely true. Higher refurb costs if you want to make the property look better. If you're going for a premium property, it can cost more in certain areas if you're looking for holiday lets. Management costs are definitely higher than your standard buy-to-let. And it comes down to these objections are all to do with time, these objections are all to do with money, and these objections are all to do with hassle. So what's the solution? Well, of course, I'm going to say it's my company, Ginger and Gold. What we do is, because you don't have to use your time. We are using our time. We are your management agents, and we can do that for you. So ultimately, we take away the hassle as well. So you don't have to sort out, yes, there will be more in arranging the right mortgage products, but when it comes down to, we will let you know the number of beds. We will let you know how we avoid party guests. We deal with a payment. We have all the softwares. We've invested thousands in that side of things, and we know how to do it right. Money-wise, well, yes, there will be higher costs, but you'll be making more money than your standard buy-to-let. And as I said, with time, we do that. So you should end up with more time, more money, less hassle with us. And another example, this is Yoxford House. It lets for £925 per month as a general rule. We do this on a rent-to-rent. We let it £130 per night, 74% occupancy during the pandemic. And that's averaged 3,500 since July 2020. And it's been an average of £1,500 a profit per month. The owner would be making over £2,000 if that was managed for that particular one. That's 4-bed in Norwich, that one. So why us? These are our core values. We believe in people over profits. It's a case of building relationships is so important to us. Good relationships, long-term relationships is how everybody is going to prosper and profit. We believe in empathetic experience every time. So we are always thinking, how can we make things better from our guest's point of view? How can we make things better from our client's point of view? And that is always how we think. We're trying to get in the mind of the people that we serve to be able to do our jobs best we can. Undisputable value. We want to make sure that everyone's coming away from us just going, Ginger and Gold are great value for money for what they do. Integrity first. I'll just move my face out of the way. Everything we do is about being open, honest, and for those who know me from my previous job roles, integrity is so important in every aspect of my life. We're trying to be the true leaders. So being true leaders in our field, we want to make sure that we're leading the pack. One key thing for us is leaving the world better than how we found it. And we do that through, we're part of schemes like One Tree Planted, which I'll explain in a moment. And speedy action. We are all about, let's get the action out there. Let's take action, measure the results, and then adapting our course along the way. So, and part of that, we've formed some oaths. So if we don't deliver on our analysis prediction, we will half your management fee. So there's a couple of things with that. When we first look at a property, we'll give you an idea of what we can generate you in terms of monthly revenue, monthly income. That's after costs. And if we're not hitting that on a regular basis for you, we take an average, and if our average that we're delivering is less than the average that we said we'd get for you, we will half our management fee for the months that we aren't hitting that. That's really important to us that we deliver on our word. So far, we've only had to do that once, which is amazing. Your property is maintained in the same condition as when you hand it over to us. And if at any stage you feel we're not achieving this, we will resolve the issues or you'll exit the contract without notice. We're in this for long-term relationships. So ultimately, the reason we put this in there as an oath is because we see too many operators taking properties, not looking after them, trying to cash flow for a brief period of time, and then not leaving the property in the way that they should. We are really proud to say that all of the people we manage for, all of the people that we do rent to rent are really overjoyed when they come and visit our properties. And the other thing we'd say is we would happily have you come to our properties so you can see the quality of them. Yes, there's issues from time to time. Yes, we have to resolve them, but it's about how we do that in the long term. So one of the things I said that we want to leave the world in a better place, we plant a tree for every guest that stays. So it's one of the things that we are now involved with one tree planted, and that is a reforestation partner. It costs us $1 for every tree. So every time a guest stays, whether or not there's 5 people staying over a weekend, that's 5 trees planted somewhere in the world. We donate to them every month. And it's one of the things that's our cost, not your cost as well, by the way. And it's something that we're very proud to be part of. And we're looking to do more initiatives which are eco-friendly initiatives across our time, sort of in business. So just coming back to that question, which we asked ages ago, is HMO better than short-term rent? Well, I'm going to answer that with this. We said about the example where after running costs in this 4-bed, you'd get £2,006, and a 4-bedroom HMO in Norwich should bring about that, usually around £500 per room. It would definitely be less work. So it depends on you and your unique circumstances. And the reason I say that is because when it comes down to tax, service accommodation short-term rental's got some advantages over HMO. You can offset the mortgage interest as a trading business, not an investment, which you can't do with HMO. Now, for those savvy property investors, you'll already know that if you've got your property investment company in a limited company, then you can avoid and offset that interest anyway. But certainly if you're doing this in your personal name, then it's a big advantage for service accommodation. There's no council tax or businesses to pay on your first one because it is a trading business. You can claim, and this is the biggest one for me, you can claim more capital allowances on a furnished holiday let. So as soon as you qualify for a furnished holiday let, you can claim up to 35% of the purchase price as commercial trading business. You can claim that as capital allowances. So what you need for this, you need a capital allowances surveyor who comes in and they'll look at all the things that you can claim as a trading business to offset your tax bill. And I've seen some big figures for this. We would highly recommend that you do that. And if you need a broker, then we've got one again that we recommend. We also recommend a really good property accountant. If you haven't already got one, you can use, I'd recommend you get in touch with mine. I use a chap called Joshua Tharby at JSM. He's probably the UK's leading advisor on serviced accommodation accounting, as far as I can see. So quick recap. We wanted you to have a better understanding of what makes a good short-term rental property in Norfolk, have a broader understanding of short-term rental compliance, which hopefully you have, which we talked about doing, the mortgage check, the lease check, and the block management company check. We want you to have a broader understanding of the UK tax advantages. So we've just covered that, and know how you can profit from short-term rental in your own portfolio, and know who you need to talk to if you want more information. So actions, as we always want you to actions. We want you to consider your properties. Could any be good for short-term rental, especially, sort of no matter where you are in the UK, there'll be a local expert. We only are going to ever operate in Norfolk. We're not going to scale up to national. It's not part of our business plan, but I know a number of people across the UK, if you're watching this elsewhere in the UK, who could help you with your properties locally. Just get in touch with me. You can do the lap check yourself, location, avatar, and property of what would work. You can get the property analysed by us. So we're happy to do that free of charge, and I'll give you the link in a second. Consider your tax advantages and set up your property as a short-term rental and ultimately make more profit and make some of that 1.4 billion. So we're looking to work with, in particular, investor landlords, people who are looking to buy properties as an investment. We prefer that as opposed to people's second homes and that side of things. But existing landlords, if you've already got properties with buy-to-let, we'll obviously look at those. In particular, what Ginger and Gold, what we're looking to scale with is 2 to 5 bedroom properties. We don't tend to like 1 bedroom properties. We have got a couple, but we prefer the larger properties. It tends to get a better revenue for you and for us. Hands-off property income. So we're not looking for somebody to be involved in day-to-day operations. We will give you a hands-off property income, which should be an advantage for many people. Some people also ask, do we teach the stuff that we do? We don't at the moment. We're not looking to get into anything of teaching, which is why we prefer hands-off. Let us do what we're good at. We'll make sure you get a good return for it. We're looking for properties to manage or to rent in Norwich and Norfolk. Manage is the one that we would prefer out of that. We much prefer to manage properties than to do rent to rent. The reason being is we've got rent to rent, and although they're very profitable, at the end of the day, we've now got our system set up. We would rather take your properties, give you advice on what furniture to put in, and then we manage them for you and grow together, than to just keep taking on rent to rent with landlords who don't always understand what we're about and how we're looking to scale. We only take on 2 properties per month, so we are limited. There isn't like a case of we're not a huge company. Most we've ever taken on is, I think, 3 within a 30-day period, but 2 properties per month is our capacity. And we aim to have 25 units by May 2022. So if you're interested in, forming a relationship with us, beneficial to you, and, looking to get involved in short-term rental in Norfolk, then certainly reach out to me. If you've got any questions, the best way of contacting me is to go onto our website and to email through, or alternatively, I'll share my details in just a moment. So life now, just a quick one. After comparing it before short-term rental and after short-term rental, I get to spend time with my son, Harry, my other half, Charlie. This is my business partner, Donatus. This is at Norwich Cathedral. And thank you for listening to this presentation and for watching it if you've made it all the way through. So lastly, let's connect. This is how to get in touch with us. So this is my telephone number. That is the best way of getting in touch with me. It's my personal number. If you go to flow.page/Ginger and Gold, you'll see all of our website, all the ways you can get in touch with us, all of our social medias, everything in one place. This is my email address. Feel free to make note of that. Drop me an email. I answer every single email. I get back to everybody, usually within 24 hours. And if you want us to analyze your property, this is a really important one. If you've found a property even before you've bought it, even after you've bought it, if you've got a buy-to-let property, we don't mind at what stage you're at. The earlier, the better. But go to bit.ly/property owners inquiry form. Fill in as many details as you can. That form automatically gets sent to me and my team. We analyze it, and we will come back to you with an idea of what that property can do. And we're really brutally honest. If it's not going to work for short-term rental, we'll tell you that. If it is going to work for you, then we'll let you know as well. And again, that's no obligation for that. So thank you very much for listening to me. This is slightly longer than I intended, but I hope this has been useful. If you've got any questions, as I say, drop me a message in one of these ways, and I look forward to potentially working with you in the future. Thanks very much.